Hello YouTube, Slit Warrior here, and happy Halloween. And for Halloween, I'm going to bring you guys my Nekroz deck profile. And why am I going to be bringing you guys my Nekroz deck profile for Halloween, you ask? Well, what is Halloween about? It is about dressing up in costumes. And what are the Nekroz? They are warriors dressed up in the skins of dead synchro monsters. Yay. Alright, so yeah, the name was changed to Nekroz, if you guys haven't heard already, because it is announced that they're going to be releasing the TCG in February in a Hidden Arsenal type pack with 5 cards per pack. It'll be a secret rare plus 4 super rares. It'll include all the Nekroz cards, it'll include all the Ritual Beasts, and all of the, I think it's called Yosenju, I don't know, it's whatever the Hermit Yokai got their name changed to. It'll also include a reprint of Preparation of Rites, which is really good, because this card was only printed once. I'm really excited about that, because I do plan on taking Nekroz to Nationals, since I got my invite, my regional. So, let's start off with the monsters. We've got Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka is an ultra rare that comes out in new challengers. I'm hoping that I can pull one at Sneak Peek today, by the way, guys. I'm going to Sneak Peek at locals today, so, wish me luck. But, yeah, I'm really hoping I can pull one, because I do need to have them for my Nekroz deck profile when the Nekroz cards come out in February. It's a really good card. I'm running 2 of them. You can run 3. I'll talk about that later. But basically what it does is it can't be special summoned, I guess summon among shenanigans. And then while you control no set spell trap cards, neither player can set spell trap cards nor activate spell trap cards that are set on the field. So the reason this is really good is because this deck struggles from back row, since it only really has 2 summons per turn, with Cloudomir and Exa-Beetle only being able to use once per turn. So it just locks your opponent out. If you happened to go first turn Denko Sekka, and then you can, even if they go first and set a whole bunch of back row, you can go first turn Denko Sekka while you have no back row, and then they can't use anything. Like, it's like Jinzo, they can't chain a trap to this because its effect is already active, like it's a continuous effect, so you can't chain to a continuous effect. This is also really good because if you go like Trishula, and they let that go through, and then you lock them out with Vanities, next turn you can normal summon Denko Sekka, and its effect will be active as long as this is your only back row, because it has, if you control no set spell trap cards, Vanity stays face up. So Denko Sekka is a really good card. It's also 17 body, which is not that bad. It makes it able to last pretty long. So, it's a level 4. Oh, that's the other thing. It's also, like, this deck has really minimal normal summons. That's why this card can be played. That's the only reason why this card can be played. It's like a tech, because this deck doesn't have normal summons. It only has 5, right? And at least my deck does. You can play more. The only problem is I never want to open up with multiple Denko Sekkas, because you only really need to have one of these effects active for it to work, because it's a continuous effect. And also, if I open up with Manju, I kind of want to normal summon the Manju instead of the Denko Sekka first turn, just so I can get that search off. It's Manju's a really easy plus in this deck. So Denko Sekka is okay. It gets a little bit cloggy at 3 because you never want to have to summon multiples, but just having that one first turn is really good. So I'm definitely going to stick with 2, I think, for now. You can definitely run 3 though if you feel like it's needed. Next, I have 3 Manju of the 10,000 Hands. Manju is really simple. It searches a ritual spell or a ritual monster, but unless you have a Brio, you're almost always going to search the Nekroz armor of Brio, because if you do, you can search Clauseless with Brio and then search a ritual spell with Clauseless, so you can just get some deck thinning in. Like I said, again, it's a low normal summon deck, so just having the 3 is really good, because it gets you the easiest plus in the deck. Honestly, this is the easiest way to plus that, and Preparation of Rites is just the easiest pluses in the deck. Plus, it has 1400 attack, which isn't that good, but when you're attacking for game, just the extra body is really good. So one just extra 1400 damage attack can be the best way to push for game, because you can't really OTK in this deck, because like I said, you can only summon twice per turn. Alright, next we've got Shrit, Caster of the Nekroz. I run 2. The reason I run 2 is because it's extremely searchable, and you don't really need it in the early game. You'd only ever need it late game to get the pluses with Exa-Beetle. I don't suggest ever running more than 2, simply because you can use Cloudomir to, you never want to use it with Cloudomir, you only ever want to use it with Exa-Beetle, and you can also use Exa-Beetle to summon Trish by banishing Clauseless and Brynak. Also, I often side out 1 Rhoda and 1 Shrit, just so I can, side in these side cards. It's just the easiest thing to side out. I don't really want to be siding out many of my searchers, but if I'm siding out a card that I would be searching, I can side out the Rhoda. So Shrit's really good. It can be used the entire tribute for Nekloth monster, so yeah, definitely a really good card. Next we have triple Brynak. Brynak is the searcher of the deck. You can discard it to search any Nekloth monster. You can also discard it to search Clauseless, which you, like I said, discard to search any Nekloth spell. So Brynak basically searches pretty much anything you need in the deck. It also has a pretty good on-field effect. You only ever want to use it after you've Trished for the turn, because Trish is just better for removing cards. But also, if your opponent has like a monster that floats, like an extra deck monster that floats, such as like a Construct, you don't really want to use Clauseless to reduce to 0 and then attack over it, because they'll get their float effect. But if you can use Brynak to return it to the extra deck, it won't get its float effect. So it's really good to use Brynak. You don't summon it that often, trust me, you really don't. You hardly ever summon this card. You only really ever use it for searching and for banishing for Trish, or I guess I'll get to this card later. But when you do summon it, it can be really clutch. So next we've got triple Clauseless. Clauseless is my favorite card in the deck. It's, in my opinion, the best card in the deck. It's really, really good for searching out your ritual spells, which is really important because without ritual spells, you can't do anything in the deck. The only things that you can summon are, you know, these are your big boss monsters. You don't really go into the extra deck that much, so you need the ritual spells as fast as you can. Also, the ideal play in this deck is to go Cloudomere, send Quasar, summon Clauseless and Trish, and of course, part of that is Clauseless. The reason to do that is because Trish is the best card for removal, and then Clauseless actually gives some defense from extra deck monsters because during the player's turn you can target one, negate its effects, and reduce its attack to 0. So Clauseless is just excellent for the deck. It's really good for getting over the extra deck monsters that don't float, so you can just do a whole bunch of damage in the same turn. Next we have triple Trishula. The reason we want triple Trishula is because it's really good late game, especially in the mirror match. The last Nekroz player to Trishula wins the duel almost always. It's kind of funny like that. Like, it's the last one to do it because you can just recover with all the search cards you have so easily. So it's the last person to Trishula wins. Also, the recyclability in this deck is minimal. I used to play Pot of Dichotomy, but I took it out simply because I hated having to activate it at the start of my main phase 1. Like, I just kept forgetting. Unicorn does recycle, but since you're going to be going first turn Unicorn pretty much every duel, you're only left for 2 recycle cards. So 3 Trishula, even though the topping decks are only playing 2, I think 3 is the best. This is the best card in the deck. If you resolve multiple Trishulas in a duel, you will win that duel. Trishula is just amazing, just banishing a card from the hand, field, and graveyard. And like I said in one of my other videos, unlike the original Trishula, you do have to not target, but you do have to select all 3. Like, all 3 have to get banished. You can't just do 0 from the hand if they have nothing in their hand. They have to have a card in their hand on the field in the graveyard for his effect to activate at all. He's also the biggest body in the deck that I'm playing, 27. I'm not playing Decisive Armor. I don't really see the utilization for it. I might side it later. I don't know. Like I said, this build can change, and it's definitely up to personal preference. So if you guys want to play Decisive Armor, you can play it. If you guys want to play 3 Denko Sekka, if you guys want to play Pot of Dichotomy, go ahead and do that. I've tested all 3 of them, so I know how they work. Triple Unicorn. Unicorn, you go first turn. It's also the recycling card, which is really, really good. It negates extra deck monsters, which shuts down a whole bunch of decks. So going first turn Unicorn against a lot of decks can just like be completely devastating. It's 2/3, so it's not the easiest to attack over. So Unicorn is really, really, it's great. It's recycling though, so you need to have these in your hand late game to get back your your Brinax to search from the deck, to get back your ritual spells to summon your Trishes and stuff. So that's why I'm only running 2 of these. I'll get to that later. I'm only running 2 Herald of Arclight because what you do first turn is you go Cloudomere, send Herald of Arclight, summon Unicorn, and then get a search with Herald of Arclight. The reason I'm running 2 is because you don't ever want to summon 3 of these in the game. You want to have the ability to recycle with them later game. So here's my big tech, Miracle Synchro Fusion. I do not know why people aren't running this. This card is just amazing for the deck. Since, as I've said, like a big theme of this video is that you can only ever get 2 major summons per turn, the Exa-Beetle and the Cloudomere. So this gives you that 3rd extra summon. If you do the ideal play, which would be Cloudomere, send Quasar, summon Trishula and Clauseless, and let's say you search that Clauseless with a Brinac, your MSF will already be live because you'll have the Quasar in the graveyard and you'll have the Brinac in the graveyard to summon Draco-Aquist. Also, if you do open it up dead early game, you can just set it, and then if they pop it, you'll get a draw. It's really, really good for finishing off OTK plays since you only get 2 summons per turn. So this would be, if you had this and this, that's 5,000 damage, plus like that's 6,400 damage. So that just pushes you up to what would be 9,600 damage. If they have a 16 body on board or less, then that's OTK right there. So I think MSF is really, really good for the deck. You get also the Barkion. If you ever send for Cloudomere, if you ever send for Brinac, you can always get out Barkion. And then the reason why I play double Trishula is not only because this is the ideal play of the deck, is to use Cloudomere, send Quasar, but also if you have sent 2 Quasars to the graveyard before you summon the Draco-Aquist, so you banish one of them for the Draco-Aquist, and then you banish Nekroz, you can use Draco-Aquist's effect to target the Quasar in your graveyard, and then its effect will become the effect of that. You banish the one that you target in the graveyard, so you'll have no Quasars left in the graveyard. But for the rest of that turn, his effect becomes, once per turn you can negate 1 card. So Draco-Aquist can be really, really strong, and it's a really big liability of the deck in my opinion. Next we have triple Exa-Beetle. The reason I'm playing triple Exa-Beetle, as I talked about in other videos, because we have triple Rhoda, so we have the Strit to use with the Exa-Beetles in the TCG a lot more accessibly. A lot of the OCG decks are probably playing 3 Shrit because they don't have the Rhoda to search it. So I feel like Exa-Beetle can be run at 3 in the TCG. Also, since these guys search each other by banishing when you control no monsters, by banishing itself and a Nekroz, you can search another Nekroz spell. You need to play 3 because you need to have these spells for the late game. So 3 Cloudomere, this is obvious, this is the best one. Use it almost every turn, first turn to summon Unicorn by sending this, and use it almost every turn, second turn to send Quasar to summon Clauselus and Trishula. You know, this one can summon multiples. This can also, by the way, this can use Shrit. You can use Shrit with this. You don't really want to, but you know, you can use one from your hand or field. 3 Preparation of Rites. This is the second easiest +1 in the deck. It lets you search Brionac, which is the most important because Brionac opens you up to search your entire deck. And then it can let you recycle Ritual Spell, which is really good because if you have a monster on board, you won't be able to use their effects in the graveyard to search themselves again. So if you go first turn prep after you've already Ritual Summoned your Unicorn, you're just set up for the next turn. You got, especially if you can get, like, you know, Trishula, Clauselus, Cloudomere back from the grave. That's really easy to do in this deck, so you can just be set up for turn 2 already on turn 1 just by resolving a Preparation of Rites and getting that +1. Triple Rota, we have 5 targets. It's really good for searching Clauselus to summon with Cloudomere. It's also really good for searching Clauselus to search a Cloudomere, and it's good for searching Shrit if you do need it. You can also search Shrit with this, but the main thing you're going to be searching Shrit with is Reinforcement of the Army. Normally, after you've already searched a Clauselus, if you already have a Clauselus in your hand, you'll probably be using this to get Shrit. 1 Solemn. The Solemn may become a bottomless. This is Solemn Warning, by the way. I'm going to talk about, I think it's called Solemn Scolding now. Yeah, Solemn Scolding. But yeah, this might become a bottomless if Cleapert are as prevalent as, you know, I think they might go, might be. But this card is better against, like, Shadalls and stuff because they don't get destroyed or sent to the graveyard. It's good against Burning Abyss because they don't get sent to the graveyard. I guess Bottomless wouldn't activate the Burning Abyss. Would it? Yeah, you can't use Bottomless versus Dante, so, you know, Solemn Warning is a lot better versus some of the matchups, but I don't really play that much back row. I feel like Solemn is also really good for the mirror match because you can negate their spell, and it'll just go to the graveyard, and they won't, like, have any, they won't be able to fuel the graveyard because it's not, like, a cost. So, I think Solemn Warning is pretty good for this deck. So, Solemn Scolding. Solemn Scolding is a card that I did a discussion on my channel a while ago. It was called Solemn Advice. You pay, well, you control no set spell trap cards, so it's just like this. When you control no set spell trap cards, you pay 3,000 life points to negate a spell trap monster effect. I'm not sure if it negates a summon, but yeah. So since I'm playing Denko Sekka, you think I could play that too, right? The reason I'm not playing it is because I like to have my Trap Stun set for this. Also, there's not really that much room in this deck. I guess I could replace the Warning with the Scolding, but, you know, you guys can definitely, you know, take your liberties to play the Scolding instead. Next, I have Trap Stun. Basically, this, just like Denko Sekka, this deck loses the traps, so you can use this. Also, if you have Vanities face up, you can shut it down with Trap Stun. Vanities is pretty self-explanatory. You want to be using Vanities to lock down your opponent. You can chain it to Ritual spells. If your opponent uses, you can chain it to Fusion spells. It's pretty good, this format, you know. Let's go into the extra deck. Double Draco Quest because we play double MSF. I have gone into double Draco Quest. You know, don't doubt that I can. I play 3 dragons and that I can send. Often I only send these 2, but, you know, I do play 3. I guess you could reduce that to 1 if you really need the extra deck space, but I don't find that I need it. Construct because you can send double Arc Light to summon double Unicorn. I mean, not send double Arc Light. Construct because you can summon double Unicorn with Cloudomeres, you know, using Construct also for Super Poly in the side deck. Then I have a Gristle because of Super Poly in the side deck and also for summoning this and this. Then we've got Shekinaga, which can be used to summon this and this, and also be used Super Poly. Wind I can't summon anything, but I have it for Super Poly anyway. First of the Dragons is a level 9, which means that can be used to summon this and this. And then we've got double Herald of Arclight. You never want to play 3. I know the OCG topping decks are playing 3, but the reason you don't want to play 3 is because you need this card late game to recycle. So, you know, you definitely want to stick with 2 of these. Barkion for this, and also because Draco Quest can copy Barkion's effect if you happen to send it. Quasar, double Quasar, because the ideal play is to summon this and this. Castel, because it's probably the best 1-for-1, or yeah, I guess it would be 1-for-1 removal because you're going -1 to summon a Castel. So yeah, it's the best 1-for-1 removal rank 4 we have right now. Just spinning back to the deck is really important. It's also 2000 body, which isn't that bad. Then we've got Exiton Knight because we can get low on advantage late game. Early game, there's no way we're ever going into an Exiton Knight. But if they do have the outs for our Trishula and we use like some resources to summon him, such as if we banished this and this instead of sending a you know, something like a Quasar, you know, the Exiton Knight can come in handy late game. You can also get the 4s late game. You could be top decking and just happen to summon some 4s. So I think Exiton Knight's really good for the deck, just because it can be a blowout play. And then this card's probably not really that good. Phantom Fortress Enter Blafnir. It's just that I love summoning double Trishula and then just banishing an extra card after I attack for what would it be, like 5,400 damage. So, you know, Blafnir is kind of like a win more card, but it can, you know, knock out your opponent's last resource. If you go Trishula, get the effect, go another Trishula, you won't get the effect, but then you can overlay and banish like another card in their hand. It's just really good in my opinion. If you do get the double Trishula playoff, like if you wanted to push for damage that turn and then just lock them down the next turn with 29 body that banishes a card from wherever you want. So you can replace this with like a rank 3. I often find myself wanting to go into a rank 3 with these 2 cards, but I think Blafnir is just a really fun card to have, and it's definitely better than Dyson Sphere. Never played Dyson Sphere. I'll go over the side deck quick because this profile is getting pretty long, but Near Spatial Granwell, because it can bounce constructs and stuff, it's just really good for getting stuff out of the field on your opponent's side of the field. It just bounces extra deck monsters. Also, since this deck, like I said, has a low amount of normal summons, this is just a normal summon to add. Triple Mirror the Ice Barrier. If you don't know what this card does, basically, when your opponent activates the Nekroz of Trishula, or the Nekroz Armor of Trishula on you, you can chain this, right? And then banish 2 cards from their hand, field, and graveyard, or up to 2. So like if you activate this, if you can resolve this versus a Nekroz player, you will win that duel. You guys have to look up this card. It's insane. It's a quick play spell. It's so good. I'm only sagging this because we're facing a whole bunch of mirror matches on DN. Triple MST, obvious. 1 Raigeki. You can set it in versus anything that's not Burning Abyss or Shadal. Or I guess TG, I don't know, other float decks. Yang Zheng, you never want to side this in against Yang Zheng, but you can side it in against pretty much every deck that doesn't float. I side it in against Nekloth often because once they, or Nekroz, I'm sorry, because I gotta get that right, because once they summon their Trishula and once they commit to the board, you can just wipe them with resources if you have a key Raigeki. Super Poly for Shadals because I'm playing all 4 of the Shadals in my extra deck here. Fairywind for Kleepert, even though I normally quit against Kleepert, and Shadow Imprising Mirror for Burning Abyss and Shadals. Pretty simple side deck, it's pretty self-explanatory, except for this one. If you want to see the actual text, look it up, but this deck profile is getting really long, so I just want to say Happy Halloween to you guys. If you would like to, you can comment in the comment section below about this deck, or you can comment what you actually wore for Halloween. I'm interested to see what you guys are all wearing for Halloween, because I'm going as the Nekloth of Clauselus, or the Nekroz Armor of Clauselus. I'm never going to get it right. No, I'm not actually going as that, but that would be pretty cool. This guy's, like, awesome. This is I might actually change, how I have, like, Time Seal as my icon? I might actually change it to the Nekroz Armor of Clauselus. Like, this is just such great art. Alright, so yeah, comment down in the comment section below what you think of this video, and also what costume you wore for Halloween. Like this video if you enjoyed it, favorite it if you liked it that much, subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos and deck profiles, and definitely net deck this. I always like to tell people that, for the decks, like, besides, like, I just want you to net the deck. Like, that's why I'm putting it on, YouTube. So, if you like this deck, go ahead and net deck it. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Alright, that's everything I have to say. Share this with your Yu-Gi-Oh friends, and I will see you later, YouTube.